Alright, so as we were saying, it's moving when I press play. My character is technically moving left and right and jumping, but it's not actually doing the animations it should be. And as we look in our animator right here, we can see that it's playing through gumball idle right repeatedly, but it isn't even touching our walk left, our walk right, or our idle left. And this has to do with kind of these little arrows right here, because these arrows tell us what it is that we can play, and it also tells us how we can play them. So the first thing we're going to look at is right here, is that we have this gum idle right, this walk left, walk right, and all that, and there's no connection. So on entry, which means as soon as my game starts, it will be playing my gum idle right, which is exactly what I want it to be doing, but it's not doing these other things. So to get that to do that, I'm going to hit a few buttons. And so we're only going to connect walk right first, and then we'll do the rest of them. We'll slowly get them done, but I want to just focus only on walk right. So I'm going to right click. I'm going to hit make transition. So I right clicked on gum idle right, and I'm going to click on walk right. And so what that does is it creates an arrow that's saying I'm transitioning from idling right to walking right. And I'm going to right click over here. I'm going to do make transition, and I'm going to make a transition back to idling. The reason I do these transitions is because I want it to be able to go from a walk back into the idle, and I want it and vice versa, right? So as I select the actual arrows right here, it'll bring up this little thing in your inspector, and something that we're just going to do right off the bat is we're going to unclick our has exit time. I'm going to make this really small. And then I'm going to go over to my next one. I'm going to unclick my has exit time and make that really small. So I'm going to go back to this first one of the idle right going into the walk right. So under here, we have some conditions, and it says this list is empty, which means at the moment we have to meet no conditions to make this work, which is a problem because we have to have some type of condition or something that happens to be able to make our character work. And we know what that is we need whenever we press a button, we want our character to move. And so to be able to actually add some conditions right here, we're going to go over into our animator. You'll see that they have layers and they have parameters. So I'm going to hit the parameters button, and I'm going to make three different parameters. So I'm going to hit that plus right here. I'm going to make a boolean, right? That's our true or false values. And I'm going to say face right up. I want to make sure that I have my capitalization the way I want because I'm going to have to code this in a minute. So I'm going to hit my face right. Let go off that. Make a new one, float or added boolean, move left, and then I'm going to make another one, boolean, move right. And so what these are is it true or false that I'm facing right? Is it true or false that I'm moving left? Is it true or false that I'm moving right? And so now I'm going to come into my idle right, walk right. And I'm going to use a condition right here. In my condition, I want it to say, and I want you to think about this as an if statement. Like if facing right is true, if moving right is true, it'll make something happen, right? So think about it as an if statement. Like if we press that button down, our character will move. So if we push that button down and we're facing right and we're moving right, it should make our character walk. So to do that, we're going to do plus, and this automatically will fill it in with the top choice here. So facing right is true, which is what we want because we're transitioning into walk right, so that's fine. I'm going to add another one, and I'm going to change this right here from facing right to moving right, and I want that to be true. And then just because in the later run this will matter, I want to go ahead and turn my moving left to equal false because he's not moving left. We don't need that on there. Now, some of you might be going, well, you made a move left and a move right, but you didn't make a face left. And that's because you can only face left and you can only face right. Now, I could be still, I could be moving, and so instead of doing, and that's kind of a three value thing. And so instead of just having a face right and a face left, I can do that true or false, but I need to know if that character is moving in either direction. So that's why I have two variables there. So I've set up a condition to meet here. So as I play this, I still am not meeting any conditions to actually change over to the next thing. And so we're going to actually start coding in some of those. So I want you to go ahead and open up the code that we went over last time on how to create player movement. And we're going to learn how to code some stuff real quick. So at the top here, I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to do a public. I'm going to call this animator because we added an animator for our character. Mine is Gumball, right? And I'm going to call this for mine, Gum and Annie. Nope, not Gun. Gum, Annie. I'm going to add a little comma. So what this is anytime I want to refer back to my animator and be able to use that variable, I no longer have to retype it. I just put Gum, Annie. And so this next section is something you're just going to have to learn. I know it's going to be a little weird, but it makes it really easy in the end. Is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to move under my if input get key code or get key code right arrow. So when I press my right arrow, I want to set some of what these values equal. And I can't actually access the values in my parameters section without having my animator right here. So this allows me to access my parameters that I have set. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go under my move right. And I'm just going to add some space because I love putting space in. I'm going to say gum Annie dot set boolean. And this requires two things. The first is is the name, which is in quotations, and I have to spell it exactly the same. So I'm going to say face right, and I'm going to put comma and I'm going to put true because I want that to equal true at that moment. So Gum Annie face right equals true. I'm going to press Command C, just copy, Command V as in vampire to paste, and I'm going to change my face to move because that's the name of this one right here, move right. Set that to true, and I'm going to copy this one more time. This is just my time-saving way to do it. You can always pause the video if you need to, just to make sure you have it right. I'm going to turn this to left. I'm going to set this to false. So basically what this says is when I hit that right arrow, I want my character facing right to be true, I want moving right to be true, and I want moving left to be false. So when I press Command S to save this, and I go into my animation, or into my game, and I press play, now I start off in idling right, and I press that button. Oh, we missed something, because it is not doing that. Oh, I know exactly the step I forgot. All right, so we added our little animator into our player movement script, but we didn't assign it. So the same way if we assigned our rigid body, we need to actually click, select our gumball, and drag it into our animator that we made a slot for right here. That was my bad, totally forgot. But I'm going to go ahead and press play, and let's try it again. So as I do that, you can see he's walking forward. I haven't actually put in a stop. I haven't changed any of the other variables yet. So the only thing that's working is it can only go one way, right? And so the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to have it go back to idle right. And when I open up my script and I look through here, I look for, okay, on my input get key code key right arrow, that's I'm moving right. This is where I'm moving left. And as I have my little thing right here that tells me this is when I stop moving right or left. I'm like, awesome, perfect, because I know exactly what code I want to put right here. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to retype that gum Annie dot set bool move right. I'm going to set this to false. I'm going to put a comma, and then I also want to make sure that I Command C, Command V, and change it my move left to false, because this is if my left arrow and my right arrow or my right arrow has been let up on, right? So that's when I'm wanting to stop moving, and at that point in time, it should go back to whatever face right is either true or false, right? So if face right is true, I'm facing right. If face right is false, that means I'm facing left. So as I go through here, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put a parameter on this little line back up to my idle the same way, I have on this first one where I put my conditions in there. I'm going to go ahead and put my conditions in this one right here. I want to say my condition is face right must be true. Move left must be false. And move right must be false. So as I do that and I press play, now, as you can see, I don't have anything set up for left, but as I walk and I let up, you can see that my buttons are clicked and unclicked based off if they're true or false, and also whether or not they are running. So at the time, my move left has never been turned true, it just keeps staying false. So now we're going to go through this whole process again, and the next thing we're going to attach is our walk left. So I'm going to right click on my walk right, hit make transition, select my walk left, right click again, make transition, select my walk right. I'm going to go ahead and add those conditions in here. So my walk right, I'm going to say facing right. And so on this one, I'm facing left, right? This is me going left. So my facing right has to be false, which means I'm facing left. And then I'm going to go ahead and change my moving left to true because this is my walking left. I'm going to turn my moving right to false. All right. So the only thing is I have put my conditions in here, but we still haven't added anything into our code for moving left, right? We haven't added anything for the left arrow. So I'm going to come back in here. And to do this really quick, I'm just going to copy this whole thing under my right arrow section, press Command C, go under Move Left, hit Command V, and instead I'm just going to change these values around. So my first value of face right should be false, my move right should be false, and my move left should be true. And click that. Okay. And so what this is basically is the exact opposite of moving right is my moving left. I'm going to hit Command S. And so now as I go this way and I press the play button, I press the play button, it's still not quite working. And I realize what the problem is I let up on my right key before I ever get back to, or before I ever get in here. So the way these arrows work is it has to go through these, right? Well, with the way I have it right now, and I'll kind of move this around real quick so we can see these a little bit better. I'm going to put my idle right over here, my idle left. Actually, I'll put that over here and this over here, just so that way I have it on my left sides and my right sides. Is that it goes through and it says, okay, you're idling right, then it's going to my walk right, and before I can even press my left, I let up on my right button and it goes straight back up. So I need to start adding in some other things in here too. But first I'm going to go ahead and finish these off. So on my walk right to walk left, this one looks good. I just need to go back and do the exact opposite right here. So facing right is true. Moving right is true. Moving left is false. Okay. Then I'm just going to attach these all. So make transition over here. Make transition back. And so to have that be true, facing right is false. Moving right is false. And moving left is false. Now remember, facing right being false means it's facing left, which is what we want. I can attach these, and then I can do like crisscrosses, doing the same thing of making a transition this way. Right click, make a transition back. So on this one, and this is the transitions we are missing right here. And we'll do the opposite for the left. But right here, I'm going to click on this first one. Ooh, always make sure I didn't do it for every single one of these. Make sure to unclick has exit time. Not all of these have that unclicked yet. make sure to please unclick that so that we don't have a whole little mishap, because some of these need that unclicked. So I'm going to go ahead and I have conditions for here and here. I have conditions here, and I don't have any conditions coming back into left. So from left idle into walk left, let's go ahead and add some conditions over in this section. So idle left to walk left, we need to turn our face right to false, our move right, our move left to true, and our move right to false. Then I'm going to go ahead over here. I'm going to do face right to true because we're going towards right. So it's changing from left to right. Our moving, we are not moving, so move left. Our move right equals false. Then move right. Our move left equals false. So the only thing that's true is facing right. Then I'm going to do the exact opposite. Ones right here are going from right idle to walking left. I'm going to do face right equals false, moving left equals true, and moving right equals false. I'm going through these pretty quick just to get through the video. You can always slow down, you can pause. But once again, after you kind of get started in here, you realize that you're basically writing or making the same conditions for each individual one. Then I'm going to just do one last make transition this way, make transition that way. And really, you don't have to connect your idles because your character will never go straight from idle left to idle right. They will have to go through a walking system. And the reason they have to do that is when I press a button, it automatically says it had to have walked, right? So I'm going to click these, make sure it has exit time unchecked. So the first one I'm going to start with was walk right to gumball idle left. And so I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to hit that. I'm going to do face right equals false. Move left equals false. And move right equals false. Then I'm going to do the exact opposite. Over here, I'm going to say face right equals true. Move right equals true. Because we are heading to walking right here. The way we're going this way. And then we're going to set move left to false. Because it's not moving left, it's moving right. So now when I press play, if everything is as it should be, my character is fully animated. And you can see my parameters switching off. You can see as I press those buttons and I start walking in different directions, it changes, the way he's facing automatically. And like I said, it doesn't have to go over here. And you can kind of watch the loading screens as I change over where it's located. So you can see that a few times it kind of skips in between these, and that's whenever my button, when I let up on my right or my left buttons, it kind of plays these for like a split second before it changes. So that's basically all I have for this video. You're just going to set up your walking and your idle. I do not expect you to do your jump yet. I know this was a lot to take in. It's a lot to get through. I tried to break this down and make it as simple as possible. Please feel free to ask me questions. Please refer back to this video as much as you need. But that is it for today. I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day, and I will see you in class.